For the first time in ages, I wake up and don't hate it. I guess I found some peace. Through the day to the evening, without shouting and screaming, something new to me. Alone without being lonely, getting back to the old me. It's kinda nice to feel free. I thought this was over, thought I could control it. But if I speak the truth, I ain't over you. I was feeling sober until you came up now. I don't know what to do. I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. Give it time, things will settle. Just a face till it's better, yeah. Heard it all before. Even though we were toxic, feels the most when you've lost it. That's just how it goes. By myself feeling lonely, can't get back to the old me. I'm stuck in way too deep. I thought this was over, thought I could control it. But if I speak the truth, I ain't over you. I was feeling sober until you came up now. I don't know what to do. I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. Ain't over you. I ain't over you. And no matter what I do, I ain't over you.
Lay awake until the morning in an ocean so deep. Got a feeling like I'm dauntless whenever you're next to me. 'Cause I've climbed higher than I could dream of. Now using wires, I know I'm falling free. You set me off into emotion where I can just be me. You give a little, but you're giving me just what I need. No time for riddles, you're in the middle of my self-release. You have unchained me. You haven't, yeah, you have unchained me. You haven't, yeah. When all my troubles seem to haunt me, you uncover the truth. 'Cause nothing really matters when you see it from a distance, yeah, yeah. 'Cause I'm up higher than planes could take me. I have acquired everything I need. You set me off into emotion, oh yeah, where I can just be free. You give a little, but you're giving me just what I need. No time for riddles, you're in the middle of my self-release.
All right, we are live on all the platforms. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you can see me, hear me. Say hello. This was not planned. This was spontaneous. This was me just jumping on. I felt called to do this. So here's the deal. I've been going through a lot of the comments. I started a live training, 3-part live training last week. We've got the next training tomorrow and then Thursday. So it's a deep dive into building your money machine and going through it, and we've got a workbook and all that stuff. And the comments I've got a number of comments or questions, voice texts, DMs, and then I just came back from Nashville and doing a keynote for an audience of 800 plus amazing folks in Nashville. And some of the questions that came up there got me to start thinking about this idea of the uncertainty that maybe sits around us right now, that feels maybe a little heavy, a little concerning. What's going to happen with the economy, what's going to happen with the tariffs, what's going to happen with jobs, what's going to happen with finances. All those things are real. They're very real. But at the same time, the person that that really kind of spurred this was, we were having a conversation and they said, hey, I don't want to make any financial decisions. And I said, what do you mean? He says, whether it's investing, buying something, investing in something, doing any of that. He says, I don't want to do that. And I said, just curious, why? And he said, because I don't know what's going to happen. And that uncertainty makes it so I don't feel like I want to make some decisions. And I said, okay. And I get that. And I said, do you realize that not making a decision is a decision? But it's making a decision that's a passive decision as it relates to what you want to do, how you want to do it, what makes sense. And so it got me to start thinking about this idea, this framework that I have called the wealth maxim matrix. And just understanding when we understand how we show up around our money, around our financial decisions, around our wealth decisions, that starts to define some of the things that we do. And I wanted to break it down for you. Now, those of you on Instagram won't be able to see the graphic. However, I'll describe it for you so you understand this. And if you want to go deeper on this, join me on the Money Machine Live experience. It's free. You can go to moneymachinelive.com. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can just type in the word freedom and it sends you the link. But go ahead and join me. We'll go deeper on some of the topics here. But I just want to break this down because my hopes is that we get a chance to allay some of the fears. Because one of the challenges is what causes the uncertainty is the unknowing, is that we don't know some of the things that might happen and everything. And because sometimes we haven't had the lived experience yet, or maybe we have had the lived experience, but we didn't break it down to understand what that lived experience was teaching us. And so now we stand frozen. And I've been there, so I'm not exempt for it. In fact, I told the story where I got out of a financial seminar one time. This is decades ago, and I literally cashed everything out and went to cash and sat there for decades. I didn't invest for decades, and it cost me a lot of money. But why didn't I invest? I didn't invest because I didn't understand, and that's why I have my channel. It's why I have the show. It's why I do what I do. Is I want people to understand, because if we can educate, we can empower. If we can empower, we can equip. And you can put your hands on the wheel of your financial ship and take control. And so that's where this all comes from. And I think that there's 4 things that we need to consider living by. I call them the wealth maxims or the money maxims in the way that I break them down. And like I said, it's a framework, but let's walk through it. I'm gonna jump to my iPad for those of you that are watching on anywhere but Instagram. I can't get my iPad on Instagram right now. Hopefully we'll figure that out one day. But here's the thing. What I want to do is say, all right, is there a way for us to step into our living into a different money identity? And what is it that maybe the wealthy or the people that that are financially free, what have they done? And these are 4 elements that I think that are in place, and I'm going to walk you through this in this perspective. And so the first thing is this: is the first element is that they're committed. Okay, there's this commitment to the journey, and when I say commitment, I mean it's a commitment to determining, hey, I want to be financially free. And if you truly want to be financially free, we just got to commit to it. And what I mean in the sense of commitment is commitment means that there's action behind it. Okay, that we're actually taking steps. Because if we want financial freedom but we're not taking steps, then we're not committed, we're interested. Interest doesn't get us results, commitment does. And there's 3 aspects of this that I think will bring into play in the commitment. And the first is to understand that those that are committed will then start to create a vision for their financial journey, a vision for what it looks like. It's important because too often what I hear is, and most of this is stuff that I did, is that people are chasing a number. I want to be a millionaire. Why? What does it matter? Because it isn't the $1 million we want. It's what it represents to us and what it gives us that matters. And too often we're chasing a number, which means that we're in an endless race. We don't know where the finish line is because we're just going to keep moving the goalposts. Rather, we should be chasing a lifestyle. Rather, we should have a vision for the life we're trying to create with or without our spouse to make that happen. And so the first action item here or element to commitment is that you have a vision and a plan, because the vision will give rise to the plan. And so once we turn around and we say, it's like taking a trip. Once we decide that we're going to drive to Chicago, then we can start putting a plan in place on, well, what freeways do we take? What supplies do we need? How long is it going to take? When do we want to leave? We can put a plan in place. But without the vision, we can't put a plan in place, or any plan we put in place is going to be totally useless. And everything. So I'm live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and here. So we want a vision and a plan. Then the second piece of commitment is that we then have communication. Now you might go, what do you mean communication? Here's what I mean by this. Especially if you are in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, the two of you need to be on the same page. I don't care if you're not on the same line and the same word. I care that you're on the same page. If one person is got a different idea of what their world and their life wants to look like, and the other person is in conflict with that, that's what causes the issue in couples. And they say that money is the second leading cause of divorce behind adultery. It's horrible. I mean, if that statistic is accurate, one, it's a travesty, and 2, it's totally changeable. And I think the problem is not that money is the issue. It's our inability to communicate about money as a couple. And in fact, I'm going to be putting something out about love and money shortly. But the point is that we need to communicate it with the people that matter, that are going to be on this financial journey with us, because we need their backing. And if we're in a partnership, that we need to run this together. Okay. The other thing that I think communication does, when I say communication here, is I want people to not set just a vision and a goal. I want you to make a declaration. A declaration starts with I will, which scares the hell out of people. Because if you say I will, that means you must. But I think that we too easily set goals. We too easily set, ideas out there, but we're not committed so much to it that we're willing to declare it. But when we declare it to the people around us, that sets things in motion. If you turn around and you tell the world, hey, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to do this. You will act in alignment with that because of the declaration. Why do you think when people say I want to do some more lives, but I'm scared to go live? My response to them, I said, schedule it. Schedule it. Just put it on the calendar and then schedule it and post it. I'm going to be live at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. That's a declaration. You better show up at 10 o'clock on Tuesday because you just told the world. That's the importance of this. The third aspect of commitment is patience. Y'all, the money game is a long-term game. You're not going to build wealth overnight. The beanstalk syndrome, the mentality of throw the beans out the window, wake up the next morning, and you've got the big beanstalk, the Jack and the Beanstalk climb. That's not true, especially with money. But what is true is that the market goes up 8 out of 10 years. We just got to be in the market when it's going up. We got to be invested. We have to be on the journey. You cannot win the financial and the wealth game on the sidelines or in the stands. You have to be on the field. And the problem is that those of us that understand it, there's this thing that I talk about, and I wrote about it in my book, that's called the wealth flatline. Because our wealth starts to grow like this. It goes in an arc. Okay. And at the beginning, it's flat. At the beginning, it's flat. You're putting money away, putting money away, putting money away. And this is what I call the wealth flat line. And every single person has to pass through the wealth flat line. But that's where it tests your patience. See, I think it tests your patience because it's also there to teach you what you need to be, do, and have to have that financial freedom. And so when it comes down to it, that patience is to sustain yourself through the wealth flatline, because the only thing that eats up the wealth flatline is time. Because on the other side of the wealth flatline, as it starts to go up, this is what I call the acceleration zone. This is the tipping point where your money starts to work harder for you than you did for it. Okay? And that's the game that we want to play, because in the end, what ultimately happens is that you will get your money to work harder for you. But if you're not in the game, if you don't stay through the wealth flatline, if you don't get in it and eat that up and get the money working, it'll never happen. One of the illustrations I did when I was doing my keynote was the fact that at $10,000 a year, at 8%, it'll take you 7.5 years to get your first 100,000. It'll take you 20.5 years to get your first $500,000. To get the second $500,000, so you become a millionaire, isn't another 20 years. It's 7.5 years. It's less time to get the second $500,000 than it is to get the first 100,000. But only if you're in the game. So that's the first piece. The second part of this framework. Oh, and what this means is that this whole piece is just about making a decision. It's about deciding. Okay? That's it. Commitment is a decision that you make. So as I was having this conversation with someone, and they said, well, I just don't want to make a decision. Well, then we're not committed to it. And sometimes what's holding us back is the fact that we don't know how. But the how is something that will will reveal itself when we start to get in motion, but it will never reveal itself in contemplation. So we have to be in motion. It may be slow motion, but it's motion nonetheless. And so that's where the decision comes in. So then the second piece of this framework is cash. Okay? Cash. If we're talking about the four things, the maxims of wealth and money, commitment's one, cash is the other. And this is about truly understanding your wants and needs. Y'all, we get confused. We think our wants are needs, but they're not. Our needs are their survival, the roof over our head, the clothes, the medical, shelter, transportation. It's not mani-pedis. It's not the newest technology. It's not any of that. That's wants. Now, I'm not saying not to have wants. I'm just saying to get clear on it, that those that are really building it in this segment of the framework, they are clear on what their wants and needs are. What that helps them with is to not get pushed by peer pressure, to not get pushed by social media, to buy things, do things, and spend on things that aren't part of the plan and the vision that you did in the first piece. They also then start to understand that there's this idea that's called income scale. Income scale. And this is really about trying to find margin in your life. Trying to find margin in your life. To know that once I know my wants and needs, how can I find space so I have leftover? I've got more money than I have month, so I can use that to build my wealth. And how do I make decisions in alignment with that? And we actually, in the first training of the Money Machine Experience, I gave everyone a worksheet and a template and a tool to help them start to understand what their wants and needs are and really calculate that, so then they can start to look for ways to income scale. There's effectively 9 ways to scale income, but the bottom line is that we got to find a way to find more income. That could be side gigs, but more importantly, one of the first questions I ask people is, first things first, are you owning your value, your worth? Because if we don't own it, no one's paying for it. First, we have to see value in what we do, what we have. And then we scale. Then the third piece of this, and this was a big one, is no more Joneses. All right? No more keeping up with the Joneses. We live in such a comparison society right now. You know, you can't open up social media without seeing someone's charade of a life, that they're parading their perfection, as if this is their real world. It's a highlight reel. It's not necessarily the truth, and many of them are deep in debt. So it's a facade. And the challenge is when we start to try and normalize that comparison set, keeping up with the Joneses, that's when we start to make bad choices. Because we're making the decision out of trying to keep up versus in alignment with our values, our vision, and our plan. Here's the truth. Joneses are broke. They're bankrupt. Don't follow them. All right? Now, this then, if commitment's about deciding, then cash is about earning. Okay? How do I earn? How do I make more? How do I scale income? Okay? And then that leads me to the third piece of this framework. And that is, hold on. Oi. Bring it up. Here we go. is savings. Yo, if we're not putting money away, it's fine to earn it, but earnings alone will not make you free. Money machine will. Okay, money machine will. Okay, and that freedom isn't going to come from your next raise, your next paycheck, or your next client. It's only going to come when you start to get your money to work harder for you than you did for it. That means that you have to take money and put it away. You have to save it. You have to invest it. And I'm using savings here, but I mean investing, really. And so the first aspect of this savings is, what is the rate of savings? How much are you putting away? As a percentage of what you make, how much are you putting away? Now, in my book and what I teach is I want you putting away 20 to 25% of your income. 20 to 25% of your income. Now, I know some people are saying, wait, I can't afford that. I get it, but now you know what your goal is. Start with 1%. Start with $5. I don't care. I just need you in the game. And slowly, 1% at a time, you get yourself to 20 to 25%, because that savings rate is the most important thing on building your wealth. As soon as I can start pushing that up, because that will allow us to make it happen. Now, in order to do that, the second thing that helps with that is building margin in your life. Spend less than you make. Spend less than you would make. Okay? Ken is asking if I could make a workbook for my book. And you know what, Ken? I already did. You just didn't get it, evidently. There's an implementation guide and an action guide for the workbook. So ping me, and I'll make sure that you get access to it. All right? Or go. So ping me, and I'll make sure you get access to it. There is a workbook already for all the work in my book. So we got to build margin in our life. And that means that, because the more excess cash or money that I make, in other words, spend less than I make, that difference I can use to build the money machine. And the sooner I build the money machine, the faster I live a life of choice. It's not that you're going to stop working. I could have stopped working a decade ago, but I get to work by choice. I get to do this because I love it. I get to do this because I get to serve. I get to do this because I know I'm making a difference. But the words I'm saying is I get to. I'm not having to. I have a choice. I'm not driven by the demands of expenses or bills or a boss or anything. And then, so we scale the income. We push the savings rate. We build margin because we can push that savings rate up even higher. Then the third piece of this is to automate it. Automate it. Make it so there is no friction. Every time you make money, the money goes into the different accounts. That's how we do it in our household. I don't have to pull the levers, turn the dials, and punch the buttons. It happens without friction. There's a reason they gave us credit cards. There's a reason you go in and go, I can tap and buy. Why? Because marketers knew if they remove the friction from the buying decision and make it easy to buy, you would buy more. Well, what we need to do is reverse that. We need to put the friction in the buying and take the friction out of investing, building wealth. And the way you do that is automation. Because if your wealth creation is happening in the background without you having to do it yourself on an active basis, you're good. It's just going to build. And that leads to the fourth part of this framework, the final part of the framework. And that is this. Savings is about keeping the money, okay? And that is this. It is about time in the market, okay? Here's the challenge. Now, I want people to have an investor's mentality, not a trader's mentality. Now, trading is a job. Trading is a job. That's when you're in and out of stocks and ETFs and doing that. Now, I do that. I have one of my accounts that I do that in because I enjoy it. Is that how I'm building my wealth? No, I'm building my wealth through long-term investing. And like I said, the market has shown that it goes up 8 out of 10 years. 8 out of 10 years. And it's also shown that the probability of success goes astronomically higher when you cross the 10-year mark. That means that trying to get in and out of the market on a long-term basis doesn't make sense. We just need to be in the market to participate. In fact, studies have shown that even the best hedge fund traders with the big computers, they have all the algorithms, they have the Wharton grads and everything. They cannot, over the long term, beat the market. Just can't. So if they can't beat the market, you and I can't. So we just be the market. We invest in the market and we allow it go for long term. There was another study done where they studied the S&P 500. If you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 in 2002 and just left it for 20 years. Now, 2002 to 20 years, that means you went through the Great Recession in 2008 and the drops and all the volatility. At 2022, at the end of 20 years, you had $65,000. Still, just put $10,000 in and leave it. But if you tried to get in and out of the market and you missed 10 days, just 10 days, 10 of the best days in the market out of 20 years, 10 days out of 20 years, one day every other year, 65,000 became 29,000. You lost half of it because you were trying to time it and you didn't time it. And here's one of the reasons you didn't time it. 7 of the best 10 days were when the market was going down. When the market was in a downtrend, but then it came back up. So the point is that we don't know. So we got to be in the game, on the field, playing the game. So I want you to have an investor's mentality, time in the market. The second part of this is answer to the question of, is now a good time to invest? And I get this question almost daily. When's a good time to invest? Is now a good time to invest? My answer is the same. Have you invested before? Are you investing on a regular basis? If the answer is no, then now's a good time. It's always a good time to invest. Because if you're not investing, you're not building wealth. If you're not building wealth, you're not playing the game, you'll never get ahead. Now, I didn't say what to invest in. We'll have to figure that out and how to invest. But the bottom line is you have to have an investor's mentality starting today. And then the third piece of this, you don't go it alone. You have a team. Now, that could be advisors, it could be coaches, it could be others, but the bottom line is this. You will not accomplish what you're not going to do it in a silo or isolated. I don't believe that there's such a thing as self-made millionaire. I'm not self-made. Because I've had customers, I've had coaches, I've had mentors, I've had guides, I have people that boosted me up when I fell down, I had people that kicked me in the rear when I needed it. And all of that is part of it. And then I do have advisors. So it's not an isolated thing, but this is the wealth maximum matrix, where it's about commitment, it's about your cash, it's about your savings, it's about your time in the market. Those are the 4 things. And having this conversation with this person, I said, we just have to commit to the 4 things. And over time, you'll be all right. But we have to be smart about it. Follow processes and systems, because your wealth will only rise to the proper systems that you have in place. It's why we have the wealth priority ladder and the things that I have in there to give you a system to follow. And so I wanted to really start to pull this out and bring it out. Now I'm going deeper on a lot of this in the 3-part training, which we did the first part last week. We've got the second part tomorrow morning. If you want to join, it's totally free. Go to moneymachinelive.com, or those of you that can see the QR code on the screen, just go there, register for free. You can see the replay of last week's, and we have 2 trainings this week, Tuesday and Thursday, totally free. But we go deep. We have a workbook. We're building it out and making it happen, and we go deeper on it in that way. So hopefully this helps. Okay. Hopefully this helps with this, and we can make that happen. So that's what I had. It was on my heart. It was something that I was thinking about since I was flying home from the keynote that I did in Nashville, which was amazing. The keynote was good, but the event was amazing. I mean, the keynote was great, but and with some of the questions and conversations I've been having, and I just wanted to bring this out and really, really kind of talk it through, and then just see if there's some questions. I have a few more minutes before I have to go, and see if I can answer questions and everything, and do that. Oh, thank you so much. The first day was amazing, Natalia says. And Jason says that join in. Mel explains things in an easy to understand and fun way. Thank you. All right, let's see what we got. Talia says, what do you look for when trying to find your support team? Well, it depends on what part of the support team. Are you talking about professional support, like advisors? At the beginning of your wealth journey, I'm going to be honest. At the beginning of your wealth journey, I don't think people need advisors. I don't think there's ways to simplify it. I talk about it in my book and in my trainings and stuff. There's ways to simply start to get yourself into the game of wealth creation and wealth building and investing without the necessity of having the expense or the burden of an advisor. But you have to invest into your knowledge, into your growth to make that happen. But we have simple ways to do it through ETFs and index funds and things like that. And probably the best thing from at a beginner standpoint is how to build your financial literacy. How do you build your knowledge base? And that's through coaches, that's through training, that's through reading, and my show is a good one, and all of that stuff. So that's where I'll go. Now she just refined it, and it's about advisors. There's so many. So here's the deal. You said you're at the beginning, which what scares you the most is being bamboozled, but with an expense. Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. What I want you to do is, when I know you're going through the training with me, finish the training with me. I don't think you need an advisor, because they can bamboozle you and they can complicate things that don't need to be complicated. Because in the end, you're probably at the very beginning going to just start investing into an index fund or an ETF, 1, 2, maybe 3 max. You don't need someone to tell you that. You're totally capable of understanding and doing that, and knowing that if I'm investing in the market long term, it goes up 8 out of 10 years. You don't have complexities of planning in all likelihood, because the advisor's value isn't in picking the funds and doing that. Their advisor's value is in the strategic application and plans and all that stuff. And I don't know if you need that right at the beginning. I would be really cautious of doing that. Now, if you're going to look at advisors, the only ones I want you to look at is a fiduciary. And now the fiduciary is obligated to put your interests above theirs. There are fees involved with it, but there's not a bias in the sense that they get paid every time they transact for you. So they're not commission-based. So I'd steer clear of anyone that's commission-based, transaction-based, insurance sales, those kinds of things. I'd be careful of that. And I would be very upfront and ask them, how do you get paid? How do you get compensated? And remember that your advisors, whoever you decide to put on your team, they have to earn the right to work for you, not the other way around. Okay? Hopefully that helps. Minerva, I can't wait to see you on. Thank you, thank you. Brad's a good guy. What are your thoughts on crypto, and are you invested in it at all? Marco asks. No, I'm not invested at all. I have some strong thoughts about crypto. It's starting to get more acceptance now, but I invest in companies that have business models behind them. I invest in companies that have cash flow and growth behind them. I invest in companies that have a business plan. What is crypto? You may call it a currency, but it isn't a currency yet, widely accepted. But the only way crypto goes up is when someone else buys it and comes in behind you. So the only thing that's pushing the price of crypto up is more and more demand for it. But if that demand goes away, it drops, just like it would with gold, silver. Okay. And there is no business model behind it. There is no cash flow behind it. And so I'll be honest with you, I don't really have to invest in it. I don't need to take those risks. It's one of the most volatile asset classes out there. So I'm not invested in it. Have I done it before? Yeah. But I don't, if I was going to put any in my portfolio, it'd be a very narrow slice, or I might do it through an ETF. But I'm not invested in it. It's not the thing that I do. I do things that I know that have been proven for decades. And that's what I rely on. And I know that there'll be a whole lot of haters about that, because if you're a believer in crypto, you're a believer in crypto. That's fine. I'm just not your cup of tea then. I'm good with that. And I've done pretty good without it. So, cool. Other questions? You are so welcome, Natalia. I can't wait to see you on with us. If you can join us, that would be great. So we've got 2 more trainings this week. Cool. If not, this was spontaneous. I just wanted to jump on. I had this on my heart because of the conversations I was having. I wanted to talk through it and put it out there. Let people know that we still have 2 more trainings. The replays are up. You want to join me? It's totally free, and I would love to have you on board. Go to moneymachinelive.com and let's go deep. Let's talk about your money machine, what you need to do, and let's crush it. Let's take control of our financial destiny. Y'all, I truly believe that financial freedom is your birthright. And for some reason, the world has told us that money's a taboo topic. We shouldn't be talking about it. Well, that changes with me. I want to be the one that has the conversations that are safe conversations, that are not biased. I don't have insurance to sell you. I don't have investments to sell you. I just want to sell you on your dreams. Yeah. Cool. All right, y'all. You have a blessed day the rest of the day, and hopefully I'll see many of you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, on the Money Machine Live experience. I'd love to have you all there. We'll have more conversations. We're going deep dive tomorrow, talking about your target, talking about your number, how to calculate it, the 5 incomes, all that stuff. All right? Ready to crush it. Let's do it. Can't wait to see you all tomorrow. Let's have some fun. Talk soon. Cheers.